Hello and welcome. I'm Camila Lamia and this is your 6 p.m. wrap, a full rundown of today's top stories. Senator Antonio Trillanes accuses Senator Dick Gordon of covering up the role of the Duterte administration in the extrajudicial killings in its war against drugs. Trillanes says, quote, "Eventually the truth would come out, and when that day comes, Senator Gordon should be remembered as one of those who tried to cover it up." Gordon, also the Senate Justice Committee chairman, said the 6 hearings on extrajudicial killings failed to prove that President Rodrigo Duterte or the government sponsored the executions. Trillanes says, quote, "Senator Gordon cannot prove what he did not attempt to investigate in the first place." But Senator Panfilo Lacson says the probe on the Davao Death Squad killings may still be reopened if another witness can corroborate self-confessed hitman Edgar Matobato's testimony. Senator Leila de Lima takes her fight outside the Senate and tells the public, quote, "I am not a slut." In an event at Miriam College Friday, de Lima hits back at President Rodrigo Duterte and his men for the, quote, "relentless and vicious attacks against her." She says, quote, "I have not partied with or slept with any drug convict." De Lima admits committing several mistakes in her personal life but says none of these are tantamount to betraying the country.
I will admit there was a moment in the latest 3 months when I began to doubt whether I will ever be vindicated, whether in this lifetime or beyond. Yes, I must admit that this human rights advocate and former Secretary of Justice was made to doubt if justice will ever be served.
De Lima is accused of having illicit relationships with her former aides Ronnie Dayan and Janelle Sanchez. Both were allegedly her bagmen for drug money. De Lima also talks about how the administration repeatedly violated her right to privacy in the hopes of pinning her down.
My detractors may hide behind the power of their office or in the anonymity of the internet or of unrecorded cell phone numbers in order to hurl insults, misinformation, outright lies, and even death threats against me.
Supporters of the late President Ferdinand Marcos began a 4-day march from Ilocos Norte to Manila in time for the Supreme Court ruling on petitions against a hero's burial for the late strongman. Marshal of Victims and human rights advocates filed 6 petitions against the decision of President Rodrigo Duterte to grant Marcos a hero's burial. Supporters of the Marcoses in their bailiwick, Ilocos Norte, joined the Kailian March headed by Governor Amy Marcos. Kailian is Ilocano for fellow member of a community. From Paway Church, 500 Ilocanos will pass through the solid north provinces of Ilocos Sur, La Union, and Pangasinan to meet with fellow loyalists as they make their way to Manila. They will hold prayer vigils in Ilocos Sur, Pangasinan, and Tarlac. The Marcos supporters will also visit the tomb of the unknown soldier in San Fernando City, La Union, to honor the soldiers who died during World War II. The Marcos family claims their patriarch was a veteran of the last war. But the National Historical Commission of the Philippines disputes Marcos's World War II record, saying it is, quote, "fraught with myths, factual inconsistencies, and lies." Marcos supporters are expected to arrive at the Supreme Court Sunday, October 16, a day ahead of the expiration of the status quo anti-order issued by the SC. Tropical Storm Karen intensifies into a severe tropical storm. State Weather Bureau Pag-asa says Karen is at 205 kilometers east of Virac, Catanduanes. Karen has maximum sustained winds of up to 100 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 140 kilometers per hour. Signal number 2 is raised in the provinces of Catanduanes, Camarines Sur, and Camarines Norte. Signal number 1 is up over the provinces of Northern Samar, Albay, Sorsogon, Quezon, Aurora, Isabela, Quirino, Laguna, Rizal, Marinduque, Ticao and Burias Island, Masbate, Nueva Ecija, Bulacan, Pampanga, Cavite, Batangas, and Metro Manila. Karen is expected to move west-northwest at 9 kilometers per hour. Follow Rappler.com for continuing updates. Samsung says the crisis over its exploding Note 7 smartphones would cost at least $3 billion in lost profit over the next 2 quarters. This comes days after Samsung slashed its operating profit for the 3rd quarter by $2.3 billion. In early September, Samsung recalled about 2.5 million units of the Note 7 after several devices exploded or caught fire. When replacement phones also started to combust, the company decided to discontinue the Note 7 for good. Industry analysts say the Note 7 fiasco could end up costing Samsung a great deal more, with major losses tied to the hard-to-calculate damage done to brand reputation. Some analysts estimate the financial cost to be anywhere between $10 billion and $20 billion. Samsung blames faulty batteries made by an unnamed supplier, but experts say the problem might have been caused by Samsung's decision to rush the launch of the smartphone ahead of the latest iPhone.
That's your 6 p.m. wrap. Watch our updates daily at 12 noon and 6 p.m. I'm Camille Alemia. Remember, tomorrow begins today.